From the News Channel 5 Network, this is SportsLine.
Good evening and welcome to SportsLine. I'm Steve Wrigley. Going to take your calls here over the next hour. Let's talk about the Tennessee Titans. What are they going to do in the NFL draft? What do you want them to do? What do you think they will do? What do they need? Just really what you think about the upcoming football season. We can talk really about anything, but I think the NFL draft is probably where the majority of our focus is going to go. So the phone number to call is right there on your screen, 737-7767. I'm Steve Wrigley, sitting in here right now for Steve Lehman and John Burton, two sports guys who do a great job here at Channel 5, getting a little bit of a vacation. So I'm what you call a pinch hitter, sitting in here and got an hour to talk sports. One of the interesting things that happened in Nashville this past weekend was the sports festival put together by 104.5 The Zone. It was a great opportunity for a lot of bigwigs to come in town and to rub elbows with sports fans of Middle Tennessee. Probably got to meet a couple of your idols, probably got to ask some people some questions you probably thought you'd never be in the same room with. Well, two of the people that were really a big focus for football fans in Middle Tennessee were new Titans general manager John Robinson and new Titans head coach Mike Mularkey. They are on the hot seat right now with that #1 pick. In the past week, it's come out. It was big news today on ESPN. I saw Adam Schefter talking about it, about basically whether or not the Titans are willing to trade that #1 pick. If so, what will it take? And the quote that's always out there is a king's ransom. They need a lot of help. They haven't been good for a long time. They haven't been good for a long time since Floyd Reese built this team through the draft back in the late 90s when they had great picks like Steve McNair and Eddie George. And then once they had their skill players on offense for that grinded out, pounded out offense, they went all along the offensive line and started there on the left with Brad Hopkins and went straight through to center. They had Matthews that played, a couple of Matthews on that line, but Bruce Matthews, a longtime veteran, played some 20 years in the NFL. Those Titans teams were tough. They were hit you in the mouth, grind it out, keep hold of the football, time of possession, and then not let you score any points on them. Steve McNair didn't have to throw the ball much. I mean, Frank Wycheck was his #1 target. That was a tight end. Kevin Dyson got into the act a little bit later as he developed as a wide receiver, but that was the blueprint. So do you think the Titans need to stay on the offensive line? Laramie Tunsil's kind of the guy that a lot of people have penciled in as being the choice there to give Marcus Mariota all the help he needs to really, really develop into his next season in the NFL. We have a call on line 1. Go ahead. What's your thoughts? I'm Steve Wrigley. Welcome to SportsLine.
Yes, am I on?
You're on.
Okay, I want to talk about the draft, and I think they should take Ramsey with the #1 pick, because they can get a lineman later on in another round or something. They don't have to.
So what does he do? What does he do? Where do you see that he fits in? Does he fill the need? Do they need to have that shutdown guy in the defense? Because they've had problems on offense for a long time.
He's the best player in the draft right now. We need a defensive player, so they need to take him.
Well, great. I mean, I don't think they can go wrong with that pick. He's one of the highest rated guys out there. He's a local guy. It'd be nice to see him back in town. Played a lot of big games in college. Definitely could fill in there, or not fill in there. Could probably be a star there, but is that what they need? I mean, is the defense, which improved a lot last year under Dick LeBeau, is that really the question mark going forward into this year? Or is it the ability to score points and to keep the defense off the field by moving the chains and grinding things out? I mean, what do you say to people who say, no, we need to get a lineman for Mariota to step up his development? He's gone. He's long gone. All right, well, that's an interesting thought. Now, as I was alluding to earlier, Mike Mularkey and John Robinson were two of the keynote figures at the Sports Fest this past weekend. And here's a snippet of what they were talking about, what your Tennessee Titans need to improve next season.
It's offense in this organization, and to be here in this city. I mean, he's like a little kid. It's, I'll say this too about John. I've been in on a number of the negotiations that have gone on, and John has done an unbelievable job working with some of these agents who can be very frustrating at times. And I told John, I said, I wish you could play offensive line like you negotiate because we'd have somebody else starter immediately. I'm kind of a cross between a used car salesman and a Southern Baptist minister, so. But in essence, isn't that the job? Absolutely. It's all about relationships and trusting and communicating and being as transparent as you can when you're trying to work out a deal. It's about respecting the other party and working together to come up with something that you think is fair for both teams. And that's really what we've tried to do in free agency is put a plan together in place and try to acquire guys and be fair with them.
Byron Bell re-signs yesterday, and the thought process is, and I think your comment that I read on Jim White's piece is that right tackle is where he's penciled in at this point. Your thoughts about re-signing him and how he competes at that spot?
Yeah, he was. I mean, we've been in negotiations with him and his representatives here for the last week or so. You know, the fact that he has played. I mean, I was watching a game on him again the other day. He's played right tackle in the game. He moved to left tackle, and then he played guard. I mean, he's a big man to try to get around. You know, he's got some technique things that he needs to keep working on, but he's still a young player. He's penciled in at right tackle right now for us. I think that's, the way me and Mike see it. But can play a bunch of different positions, and versatility along the offensive line is very key because you never know throughout the course of the game or the course of the season when this player is going to go down. Well, if this guy can plug into another place and we can keep forging ahead, that's huge for a football team.
Versatility and flexibility is a big thing on the 53. And this guy's a professional, too. He did everything he asked.
He is. He actually played probably as well as anybody on the offensive line for us last year in a number of roles. And, John and I have been talking about, since we've been together, about having tough, smart, and dependable. And here's a guy that started every single game for us last year in one role or another. And that's what we're looking for. And he likes to compete. So, again, all it does is add more competition to that offensive line.
For how you've described what you want to do and what you want to be, and you've both said it together, the tough, smart, dependable. Ben Jones seems to be a poster child for that. He had to be a Titans target when you started free agency.
He was a Titans target from the beginning because he represents everything we have talked about. All the free agents we've drafted all the way or signed up till yesterday, even Antoine Blake, core special teams player, tough, physical, knock your lights out type of player. But Ben's kind of a throwback. It's kind of funny. My son was at the Georgia spring game 5 years ago when Ben was at Georgia, and he said, "Dad, when you're looking at the draft, there's a guy on Georgia's line. He is cutting his own players in the spring game. Nobody does it." Because you got to find this guy. So I didn't know until I'm having dinner with Ben Jones, and my son says, "You got the guy from Georgia." And I put two and two together. Like, I have that tough, nasty, smart, again, accountable and dependable player sitting right next to me, and that's exactly what we want.
You knew him growing up, didn't you? You knew that guy, the Ben Jones type guy. You knew that guy growing up in West Tennessee, didn't you?
Oh, we played with him every Friday night, either with him or against him. Yeah.
Or you were him.
I would probably have a little Ben Jones blood coursing through me for sure. So a quick story about that. So we went to dinner, and Ben orders, if it was one rib, it looked like 2 dozen ribs. And they set the plate down, and Russ Grimm, our offensive line coach, is looking at him, and he goes, "Ben, you're going to have a weight that you're going to have to make, right?" And Ben looks at me and Mike and goes, "I thought you said we were going to run the ball. I got to move people." So I think he cleaned every bone.
He did. Nice. Let's stay with offensive line for just a second because it's been a huge topic, and we're going to jump all over the place. By the way, where's Red? Red's got a microphone. If you have a question, put your hand up. And I'm just going to be jumping around to different things, and I'll be happy to take some questions if you want to signal Red. You've got something. We've got these guys for about 45 more minutes before they have to head to owners' meetings, and so we just want to talk all the football we can. We're appreciative of you being here, and that's the way we want to do it. We just want to talk football. So specifically, I want to talk about Taylor Lewan, if I could. Lots of questions about him, where he fits. Let me start with you, Mike. How do you see Taylor in all of this, and what are your expectations? And then the same question to you too, John.
Taylor's our starting left tackle right now. And that's the plan until something changes, until we bring somebody, and whether that's a draft or whatever year that is, but right now he's a left tackle. John and I both believe that he could play other positions because of his athletic ability, and we'll just see where it goes from there. But, Taylor, he's gotten better and better. He's going to play a long time, but he can play either side if we had to use him.
I see you're trying to peek behind my cards that I'm holding close here. I would agree with Mike. Taylor's our left tackle. But again, versatility with the ability. We think he can play right tackle, and he would be a really good one. And he's a really good left tackle. So I think he's our left tackle until he's not our left tackle. But he's our left tackle.
So he's your left tackle on March the 19th.
Correct.
All right. And maybe on September the 11th.
Maybe on September the 11th.
There are no promises yet.
He's more than capable of playing left tackle in this league for a long time.
Isn't this what you're saying about basically the entire roster, with maybe the exception of quarterback, is that you guys are not making any promises on March the 19th?
Again, we've gone on record several times about wanting to be the most competitive 90-man roster we can on the field. That's what makes the 53 that are going to make the team in September better. Is for the other 20, trying to do quick math, 37 I think it is, they got to be tough and they got to be good, and they're going to make those guys better. So we just want the most competitive 90-man roster we can have.
The best advantage of me being able to get this job, these guys have been around me for 9 games now. They kind of know what I'm preaching and what we believe in. And it's a clean slate when they come back in here on April 18th. It's a new staff for the most part, a lot of new coaches, new schemes. Even Coach LeBeau is calling his defense, not Ray's. So that's new special teams coach. The building's going to look different when they walk in there. It is a clean slate. And these guys all know what I believe in, and they understand that that's what we want. And those guys that comply and try to do what we want, I'll do what I can to keep them here, and the ones that don't will not be here. So they know that. They know what to expect when they walk in the doors.
Mike Keith along with Mike Malarkey and John Robinson down there at Sports Fest this past weekend, sponsored by 104.5 The Zone. Took a couple of notes there. What I got out of that was Taylor Lewan is our left tackle until he isn't our left tackle. All right, that's where I think the Titans need to go. Where do you think they need to go? Our number here on SportsLine is 737-7767. We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, there's a couple of scenarios we can go through the top 10 in the draft that might be a way for the Titans to get out of that #1 spot, and just who might be looking at that #1 overall pick. I'm Steve Wrigley. This is SportsLine. We'll see you on the other side.